Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I'm your host, Giovanna Tartarone. And today's show, we're going to talk about discovering the truth. You know, when you're on this path of really discovering what is it that you want in life, why are you here, you go on this journey that you need answers in order to feel peace within. So today, my guest is going to come on and share his story, how he discovered his true calling. And, you know, once we discover this information and we know the truth, it's all about, we need to share it. Why? Because our life has transformed into something so much greater than we think we are. So join me today to welcome James in. Welcome, James. Where are you? Hello
Hello.
there.
What's going on? Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I am so blessed to have you here.
It's an honor to be
Because,
here.
you know, you're on a mission. I'm on a mission. And it is to truly help people discover not only the truth, but their potential, their true potential. And so let's get right into it because I'm excited. Your story is amazing. You know, you're on a warrior movement. I'm on
Yeah,
a sparking change movement.
more.
So,
So
yeah,
more.
it's so beautiful. So let's go into it.
Absolutely. Well, all the listeners, it's an honor to have your attention for a little bit. And I promise you, by the end of this, your life can be transformed and impacted for the better. So stay tuned. We're going to get into
Yes.
some cool, juicy stuff, but a little bit about me. And it's an honor to be on here once again. I've been a top sales leader in the same company for the last 13 years. And it was an interesting mix. The first part, we were able to build a multiple six-figure business, and life I thought was really good. And I bring this up because in discovering truth, I think entrepreneurship is probably one of the best ways to look in the mirror who we are. I'm sure
Yes.
you've experienced that as well too.
Yes.
You come into the end of yourself. Jim Rohn says success is attracted by the person you become. So I started to learn a lot about myself and studying and self-development and everything. But what happened was um, we built that business. We thought we had hit all the success. And then things happened. And I'm sure the listener, there's things that happen in your life as well too, where within a year, we went from multiple six figures to multiple six figures of debt, lost everything, and literally almost gave up on our dream. And it was in that journey, we'll dive into that, that I discovered what not just a truth is, but the truth is. And after I learned what the truth was and applied it, that's the key, not just knowing it, but applying it
Yes.
into your life. We were able to build now one of the top growing and fastest sales organizations in the same company. And we have 200,000 partners worldwide. And it's just been an absolute miraculous journey. So I can't wait to share what we've all learned.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And, you know, your journey of, I know you spoke a little bit about where you thought you were heading,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
thought you were going to be a doctor and you're going
Oh,
to
yeah.
do the thing. So let's go through, let's just share a
Yeah.
little bit of that because you're not alone in,
Yeah.
you know, I myself, I mean, I went for my master's in banking and finance world. And then I discovered after I had my child, I went to be a special education teacher.
Wow.
And now I'm a life coach, right?
Yeah.
And now I know I found my passion. But
Yes.
we do need to go through these journeys or these experiences or these lessons because we have to take something from them
Yeah.
in order to really know what our passion is and what we want to do and what make us happy. So
Yeah.
share a little bit your story.
Absolutely. So I grew up believing other people's truths for me. So the question
Right.
I have for all of us is, why do we believe what we believe? So I grew up in a very traditional household, Asian
Yes.
immigrants, and they say go to school, study hard, and be anything you want to be in life as long as a doctor, lawyer, engineer. So I picked doctor.
Yeah. The Italians are the same way.
Yeah, right. It's that immigrant mindset, and it's good, right? I
Yes.
understand where that comes
Mm-hmm.
from, but I never second guessed them. Like, that's just what I'm going to do. So I went to UC Berkeley. I was studying biology, And fortunately, I was a good enough student to know how to study and regurgitate onto a piece of paper. So I was on that track. But
Yeah.
then I started to feel really empty, Giovanna. It was
Mm,
like, I just felt like, what's the purpose of this? Like, is there more to this? And I think we've
yeah.
all thought that way before. That's usually a sign that we might want to start to look into something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I wasn't looking for business. I never thought I'd be in it. I was the shyest guy ever. I thought business people were the scum of the planet. Like, that's honestly my thoughts. And then I got introduced to my first network marketing venture and found mentors. But it really exposed me to the concept that you can think for yourself, that you can actually develop yourself. You could change.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I don't have to be what my parents tell me to be, what society tells me to be. So
Yeah.
that journey started me in that journey of understanding what truth is. It's not just what people tell you it is. There's a journey in that.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that because, you just talked about you went into like studying yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
that for me was a brand new concept, right? I've done so many years of schooling. Never did I see, take a class to study yourself.
Shouldn't we study that first? The most important thing?
Oh my goodness. So yeah. So when I went through that discovery and then I started to really study and thinking differently. I mean, we
Mm,
both share, the foundation for me was the product thinking into results, that was
yeah.
introduced to me by my mentor, late mentor Bob Proctor. I mean,
Yeah.
he truly opened my heart. He sparked something in me to
Yeah.
know that there has to be better. And this was in the middle of COVID,
Wow.
where I was truly scared about what was going to happen in the future, and I have a underlying health issue, but with all that, it was like, where do I turn? Where do
Yeah.
I turn? And
Yeah.
so Bob came to me at a time when I most needed it. And they say, well, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
Well, Bob was my teacher, and he appeared. Out of all the teachers I had,
Yeah.
this man has sparked something in me to make me realize that as long as my faith is greater than my fear,
Mm,
then I will lead the path to my destiny,
yeah. Yeah.
right? And find my purpose. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened to me. And this is what we're sharing with people is that, and our audience is that there is something bigger than you waiting out there for you.
Yeah.
And what we need to do, you talked about your beliefs. I mean, that is number one, right? Is changing the beliefs that you have that you inherited,
Yeah.
really. And it's what's really guiding your life right now is beliefs that you inherited.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like maybe your
Mhm.
transformation, right?
Absolutely. And it's so key because we have the same mentor. I love Bob and everything that he taught.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I heard about these types of teachings or understanding, to be real honest, I thought it was a complete lie. I thought it
Right.
was just complete BS. I thought it
Yes.
was just some like sleazy sales pitch. It's like, well, it must be nice because I was so gripped in what I thought truth was. And basically, I think how most of us are brought up is we're brought up thinking that we are simply a pile of flesh and
Yeah.
all there is in our life is what we physically can see, smell, hear, taste, and touch, right? Our five
Right.
senses.
Right.
We're brought up very carnally, is the word. The Bible uses that word, which is just we're people of the world.
Yeah.
And wisdom, though, I think we think, this is how I thought at least, was I thought it was reserved for the special few, like the enlightened ones. I'm like, and I'm just not like that, right?
Yes.
But I think all of us can admit, regardless of where you are in your journey of your spiritual understanding, you
Yes.
must know that there's more to you than meets your eye.
That's right.
And let's just talk about the mind itself. I think we start there because
Yes.
we've all experienced this. Like we know that mind is
Hmm.
so important. Mindset is 95% of the game, especially of an entrepreneur. Like, why is it
Yes.
that I'm in network marketing, for example, but in any business, you can have the same product, the same compensation plan, the same training. Why is it that some people crush it and other people don't? And it's like, and it's not even that they're not working. right? It's like
Right.
they're all working hard. There must be something more to that. So
Yes.
when I lost everything, and I said, and I tried to work hard to climb back up because I knew the skills of what to do, to sell, to market, to promote, to do all
Yes.
that. And it wasn't working. And I'm like, why is this happening? And I had to dive into mindset.
Yes.
And what I realized was this, and I know you teach your audiences this as well too, but
Yes.
this image changes my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's
So
huge.
powerful. So
It's
powerful.
huge. Yes. And the listeners, if you're listening, you can't see this. I'm holding up what's called the stick person. But basically, we are a spirit. We have a soul or mind, and we live in a body. Most of us, we go from opposite back in. But if you start to think in the other way, miracles can start to happen if you understand that truth.
Yeah. And I want to say that the reason why that came to even being designed is the fact that we think in pictures, right?
Yeah.
So if I say to you, what does your car look like, right away you have a picture of your car in front of your
Yeah.
eyes, right?
Yeah.
What color is it? But with the mind, your mind, if I say what your mind is, most people will tell me it's the brain,
Yeah.
and the
Yep.
mind is not the brain.
Nope.
So this stick figure was created to bring out the picture of your mind so you can understand that the mind is made up of conscious thoughts and your subconscious
Yes.
programming.
Yes.
And this is what we're working from when we say 95% is mindset,
Yeah.
right? We're working from the programmed mind, the
Yeah.
subconscious mind.
Yep.
And until you realize that that needed to shift, that you needed to create more of the beliefs, because that's where the beliefs are held in the subconscious mind,
Yeah.
right? That are made from your experiences that you had in life, whether they were good or bad.
Yeah.
That's where the programs are stored. Um, I don't know if you studied Dr. Bruce Lipton,
Yeah. Yep.
but he has a beautiful book called The Biology of Belief.
Yeah.
And that explains it so well how, he's an epigenetic doctor,
Yeah.
and he says that it's not our genes that really determine our life.
Yeah.
It's the above the gene, which is
Yes.
the epi part, that if you can change that, you truly can change your life to what, Bob says, what do you want?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it comes down, this is so beautiful that we can share this information
Yeah.
to help people see that they're not stuck. They're only stuck because they think they're stuck. But
Exactly.
there's a way to think differently, but you need to make a commitment to yourself, because this journey of self-discovery will change your inner being.
Oh, literally. Literally. You talk about, and I like to go from the perspective of the skeptic, right? Because that's where I was. And I was
Yes.
a biologist, right? So
Yeah.
I thought I knew I wanted to understand truth because all of us want to understand truth.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought that I could figure that out through science because, what you can see and test and experiment, like, okay, awesome.
Data, right? Data.
Yeah. And what you start to realize is as you actually look into the science more, it's crazy that science proves that we are more than just our flesh and blood. You talked about epigenetics.
Yeah.
Literally, what Bruce Lipton says, and these biologists will have actually scientifically figured out, is if you believe a belief, it literally will trigger different genes in your DNA to be expressed, produce different proteins to do different things in your
Yes.
life. And it's like, there's a correlation. So when I start to see these things, I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to dive into this further as well, too. And this is not woo woo stuff. This is real science as well.
Yeah. You became curious, right? You begin
Yeah.
to ask questions.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us, you know, s- I'll speak for myself. At first, I was in my comfort zone. I
Yeah.
didn't want to ask questions. I was born in Italy. It was like
Yeah.
women keep their mouth
Right.
closed.
Right.
You don't ask questions, you just follow and do. And so that belief was there for a very, very long time until
Yeah.
I learned about myself.
Yeah.
So now that I know, it's everything is curiosity,
Yeah.
you know. Although I remember my husband once said curiosity killed a cat, and I'm
Yep.
like, that that saying just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But here in this case, I will tell you, curiosity will lead you to the path of freedom.
Super.
Freedom,
Yes.
where
And we
you're
all
no
want.
longer feel like you're trapped in,
Yeah.
all the things that you're doing, and you're not seeing the results in your life, and you're wondering why I worked so hard. Why did I, get
Mhm.
sick? Why did I
Mhm.
lose everything?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that we're doing so much doing, let me doing,
Yeah.
that we're not taking the time to be,
Amen to that.
you
Yes.
know, because having the feeling of being in heaven
Mm-hmm.
is a state of mind. It's right
Mm-hmm.
here. If we
Mm-hmm.
can capture that, and if we can be more happy and lovable and compassionate to each other, that's where the peace comes in. That's where the heaven is.
Yeah.
Where is hell? Right
Mm,
here,
mm.
where we're not connected, and we have to compete against each other, and we have to get the ego that comes out of us that says I'm better than you,
Yeah.
or you don't want to forgive someone. This is all the ego stuff because it's low vibration.
Yeah.
High vibration is love,
Yep.
joy, happiness. And we have the ability to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
And when we do not choose, when we choose the other, we're living in hell because
Exactly.
it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, this is the Bible teaching that I love, that I embraced, because when I understood this,
Yeah.
I understood this is God's way.
Yeah.
And when you're living on that path, you're in
Mhm.
alignment with the Creator.
Yeah.
And when you're in alignment with the Creator, then your trust, the truth, your faith are all vibrating on a high level, and you
It,
feel that peace.
it's so huge that you're touching on this because it's unfortunate, but there's a battle on truth today. You go to the
Mm,
schools, you go to government, you go to anything, and basically, like, men can be women, women can be men. Like, I'm not saying political things. I'm just
yeah.
saying, I think we all know, for just using this as an example,
Yes.
you go back 50 years ago, if you ask someone, are you a man or a woman? It's like, it's obvious.
Right.
Now we're doubting literally truth itself. And that has a lot of consequences in all aspects of our life because, like what you're talking about, if if your reality, if your results are a byproduct of the truths that you believe, and in belief, there's LIE. Many
E.
times we
Thank
believe
you.
lies, right? And whether they're true or not true with a capital T, if we believe it, it will manifest in some way, right? I used to say I'm a really shy person. That's just who I am. And guess what? I was always shy,
Not anymore. I
not
see you.
anymore. Yeah, it's like you could break out of these things, right? I used to say I'm going to be broke all the time. I never have enough money at the end of the month. Well, that's a lie, right? So these types of things are so big to understand. So more than ever now, it's so important that we continue to ask the better question, which is what is truth? And that's what I started to wonder because as you start to get into mindset and you start to test these things out, for example, when I learned about the sick person, and basically you learn how to go from the inside out rather than outside looking in, then you say, okay, let
Love
me
that.
try to imagine what I actually want. And I wrote down a goal on my goal card and I said, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm going to be on stage at this big network marketing event.
And you were.
And I was, yeah, a year later, 65,000 people virtually. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, this actually
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
And you start to get fascinated. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important. This is where it's controversial, but this is what's worked for me the best
Yes.
because truth itself, I think a lot of us say because we're scared and we're politically correct now, is we say, well, it's your truth versus my truth. And if you believe your truth is truth, that's good for you. I'm just going to believe in my truth is my truth. That's good for me. Giovanna, I came from UC Berkeley, the most liberal school in the world. So I totally believe that. And anyone else that said my truth is the truth, I'm like, you're a bigot. You are just like super prideful. You're arrogant. I'm like, boom. But I started to think this way, especially when we lost everything. I was trying to build myself back up. I'm like, well, if truth is true, shouldn't it always be true? And I'm like, So that must mean that there can't be such a thing as your truth and my truth. But what is the truth? Is there truth? And this got me spun out of control. I was like depressed for a whole week when I started asking myself this question, because what's the purpose in life? You see this in people that go in their life. Michael Phelps, the multi-gold medalist winner in Olympics. He retired from the Olympics, most winningest, swimmer ever. And he got depressed for a whole year because what he thought was true was not true. And he was almost about to kill himself. When we lack purpose, when we lack vision, it says in the Bible, where there is a lack of vision, the people perish. Literally, if you lack purpose, if you lack truth, you will perish. Like, it's just, we cannot live without it.
Yes.
And what happened is he found the truth. I found the truth. And for me, the only place that I could find where the truth was, I started doing this whole spiritual journey. And I grew up not religious or a person of faith. My parents are agnostic. So I looked through Buddhism and then Islam and all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it was something different, because all of these faith circles will say that, well, a messenger from God says this, an enlightened person will say, and they'll give a truth. And there was one that was different, Giovanna. And that was a guy named Jesus, who is a documented alive person. Like, he was living. Even in the Islamic text, in the Quran, do you know Jesus is actually, he's noted in there, right? They say he's a prophet, not the son of God, but he was a living guy. And he said this in John 14:6. He said that I am the truth. I am the way and the life. The only way to the Father is through me.
Yes.
And for the first time in my life, I was floored, because the question I was asking, it seemed like it had an answer. And I took a leap of faith and I said, I'm just going to believe that what he says is right. And I started to plant myself on the truth, and so much has changed. It's been miraculous.
I love it. So we're going to take a short break, and you're going to tell us all about it, because it is some journey that I think the audience needs to hear, because it changed my life. It obviously changed your life when you dig a little deeper and you ask the questions why, and to figure out the truth, right? To discover the truth. So we'll be right back, everyone.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people. That we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone, so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, so that was just in alignment with what you just said before, right? Discovering your purpose, which leads to the truth.
Yes, man. I felt pumped just by watching that video right there.
So good, right? So good. And this is what we're trying to do, is really help the drifters.
Yeah.
Because if you don't discover your purpose and you feel lost.
Yeah.
We felt lost
Yeah.
until we discovered what our true calling is. So let's go into that journey of yours when
Absolutely.
you know, hit the Bible to really understand the truth.
Absolutely. So when I decided that I'm a scientist by trade, right? So I'm
Mhm.
always just experimenting with things. And I was in the self-development world for years and I love it, right? I read all the good books, I've done all the studies, and it's very helpful. But I realized there's a difference of self-help versus God's help. Right. Let me ask you this question. I'm sure the audience, you would resonate with this as well
Yeah.
too. Have you ever tried to do something you knew you were supposed to do, but you just couldn't do it? Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We know we're supposed to eat well. We know we're supposed to exercise. We know we're supposed to make that sales call, but we just don't do it. Right. We have bad habits die hard. That's the other saying as well too. And self-help is limiting because I love affirmations. I love, thinking positive. But the reality is, at least for me, I realized at the end of the day, many times I was just lying to myself and I was the best that I could do. But if the Bible is true, then here's the thing that I think is our saving grace, that if we want to make the changes that God wants for us, and we know, number one, we all have a purpose. It says in the word that God predestined each one of us to do his good works. He shaped you in your mother's womb. You've been designed and created. God never had a dud. So you actually have a God call in your life and you have a purpose. But
Yes.
from there, here's the cool part: you don't have to do it by yourself. That God actually put in his book, like a rule manual basically to follow. This is, for me at least now, this is the truth. And I just started reading through this. Here's a good scripture. I call it God's success formula. Joshua 1:8 says this. It says that do not let the book of the law depart from your mouth, but meditate on it day and night, and do everything according to what's written in it. And here's the promise: you will make your way successful. You will make your way prosperous. Who wants to have more success and prosperity in life?
I do.
I'm like, dang, that's a promise from
High
God,
five.
right? If God's true and he
Yeah.
cannot lie, I'm just going to take him on that word for that. So literally, I just started reading this thing and I'm like, all right, if this is truth, then it doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter what I've believed before. If this says it's true, I'm just going to literally take it. And I've just applied this and I've just seen miracles happen in our lives, Giovanna. It has been crazy. Business has been breaking records. Finances have been better than ever before. My relationship with my wife is just
Yes,
incredible
absolutely.
because this works.
You know, it's amazing how it's always been there. It's
Yeah.
always been there.
Yeah.
And we don't see it as something that can truly affect us in that way
Yeah.
until we have no other choice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm speaking from my experience, looking at my life almost came to an end. And I begged God and I said, I will change. Just give me another chance, you know? And he did. And I made that promise.
Wow.
And now he's making the promise to me that I'm returning a promise that he made to me. This is how I feel genuinely.
Yeah.
Genuinely is
Yeah.
that I'm ready to connect, help people reconnect to his words, to words of wisdom, because I truly feel like you said, you're working from the inside out now. And this is why you're a success.
Yeah.
Is successful in everything you do.
So beautiful.
Because you're not alone.
Exactly.
And that's the best part, is that knowing that we were never alone to begin with, but we felt that way, or we feel that way when we're struggling.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have disconnected to, I say, the creator, the universe, infinite intelligence. There's a life force that runs within us. And that was just a big eye opener for me to know, like, oh my goodness, how blessed am I to discover something that was always there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And now it's intentionally, I go through my days intentionally. I start with gratitude,
Yeah.
intentionally set my day to know that whatever I want to achieve, if it is for the greater of all, not
Yeah.
just for myself, it's not about my bank account. It's about how can I impact lives so they don't feel that they're alone anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that feels so good inside that
So
everything else is a byproduct, like you just said before.
so beautiful. You talked about heaven and hell before, right? So I
Yeah.
think we all have different definitions or imagery that comes up with heaven or hell. But perhaps the easiest definition that I've found is
Mm,
this: hell is an eternal place where you're disconnected from the presence of God. That's literally hell. And what you see is, well, there is eventually like an actual hell. But even here now, you mentioned before, many of us are living in hell because we have either purposely or unintentionally disconnected with Him. So we think that He's not for us. We think that we have broken too many promises and we're not worthy to be in His presence. We think that He doesn't exist. We think that it's all about me and my own power. I am the captain of my fate. I am the captain of my ship, that type of a thing. And we are literally in living hell. And what you realize is life's real hard. I think we can all agree.
yeah, yeah,
It's super hard. Why not just get a little bit of help? It's still going to be hard, but it's a different type of hard. You see, I love doing deep Bible studies. And I encourage anybody, if you want to study more truth, go to the actual book of truth itself and start to read through it. What I found, especially today, most people don't even read the Bible. And they think they know what the Bible says. Here's a lie, for example, right?
yeah.
And I think religion, to be honest, has done a lot to actually keep people imprisoned. There's a difference of a relationship and a religion. Religion says this: money is the root of all evil.
Mm,
We've all heard that, right?
yes.
Money is the root of all evil, so don't want money. I believe that so much. But if you actually read in First Timothy chapter 3, it says the love of money is not the root. It's the love of money is a root of all sorts of evil. So it's just one type of evil. There's a lot of evils out there. And
Yes.
it's the
Yes.
love of money. It's not money itself. You know,
Yes.
so like when there's so many of these little, this is what the devil does in our lives. This is what builds strongholds and negative perceptions, and it brings generational curses onto people, is because there's a little lie. Think about back in Adam and Eve days. Whether the listener, you believe that that was true or not true, I believe it's true because everything in the Bible for me is true. But you know what the enemy did to distract Eve and Adam? He didn't have to do something crazy. He simply took God's word and he twisted it. And the devil said to Eve, did God really say you can't eat of every tree in the garden? God didn't say it exactly that way. Little lies, little twists, but she believed it and it brought her into hell, disconnect from God. So, all of us, there's these
Yes.
little lies, these little things that we believe that are keeping us in bondage and literally in hell. But as you start to discover the truth and implant and like take action on it, it's going to bring you into freedom. If you know the truth will set you free. I encourage everybody, continue to study the truth.
Absolutely. I love that. I don't know if you studied Dr. Reverend Ike. He was on a
Yes,
mission.
yes,
He
yep,
was on a mission as well, and he wrote. His son wrote a book in his memory about that money is not the root of all evil.
yeah,
And then I believe that is like the number one thing that I think guides people into, if I have a lot of money in the bank, I'm successful. And if they don't, they're not successful and they're
right,
losers and they're failures and all of that. And
yeah.
that is such a big lie,
Oh, yeah,
a big lie,
yep,
because it's not money that makes you successful. It's not your title that makes you successful.
mhm,
You feel successful first, then all those things come in.
yeah,
So we are allowing, and this is again from
mhm,
my own personal
mhm,
experience, to allow what the outside was saying. Like I needed the degrees, I needed to be, at a high level in my career.
Yeah.
I needed to work 90 hours to make the good money.
Right.
I needed to, until I like went flat on my face and got ill. So it's not what the outside says that should be dictating what we need to do for ourselves. It's
Mhm.
what the inside tells us to do.
Exactly.
And I have to say that has taken a twist in my life, right? Because
Yeah.
now it's like, okay, I know if I have enough faith and I'm living on purpose and I'm committed to helping others, there's no way I won't be successful. It may
Yeah.
not happen overnight because, you just plant the seed and you wait and continue to nurture the seed.
Yeah.
And then we will see the tree blossom.
Yeah.
So it's like anything else. It takes time to nurture and grow.
Yeah.
So I love, how you mentioned that once once you start seeking and how life can be so much different.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that you made a decision, James. You made a decision like, I'm going to go this route.
Yeah.
There's something bigger when I find out the truth, that even if it means I need to take 10 steps back
Mhm.
and retrain my mind, because I do believe as an educator myself, I needed to go unlearn
Oh, yeah.
and relearn.
Yep.
The question is, was I willing to do that
Mm.
and lose some of the things that I love, or
Mm.
lose some of the things that meant so much to me,
Yeah.
or what I thought was the truth? I needed to now reverse that and say, wait, that was a lie. That was
Mm.
not true at all.
Mm.
It's doing the inner work that I feel is so essential.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's all an inner thing. There's nothing outside of us, I believe,
Mhm.
that will give us that fulfillment,
Nope. Nope.
right? Even money is outside of us.
Yeah.
If we really think about that. And how many people, I think you mentioned the last time we spoke, how many successful people, right, have not found their purpose, and they can have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Was it, what's his name? Robbins, you mentioned?
Oh,
Uh,
it's Robin Williams.
Robin
Yeah.
Williams. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of his name,
Yeah.
right? All the money in the world. So there is something bigger than us
Yeah.
seeking us.
Yeah.
Um, and this is, I want to talk about like your mission,
Mhm.
your warrior movement.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit, because that, to me, it speaks to my heart.
Absolutely. So the warrior movement it was born out of pain, out of struggle. And I
Mhm.
think for any single one of us, if you're going through pain right now, just know the story's not over yet. There's a reason you're listening to this. Or if
Yeah.
you've been through pain as you have, and then you overcome that, and lessons are birthed from the most painful things, right? The most beautiful things come with the greatest pain. Even just think about childbirth, right? Probably one of
Yeah.
the most painful things anyone can ever experience, but so much beauty comes out of that. And when I was down in the dumps, I was literally depressed for a year when we lost everything, trying to figure things out with my own two hands. And that's when I started getting into mindset and understanding who I was and whose I was. I realized that each and every single one of us have an inner warrior within us. It says in the Bible that we are more than conquerors. It said that you are the head and not the tail. So all these things that the world says, or your bank account might say right now, or your family might have said to you that were lies, are complete lies. But if you realize that each and every
Yeah.
single one of us are already winners, we just have to express that, then I believe that we need to show up in the world. And specifically, I think one of the most transformational things that we can all do right now is be in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's where we are, at least 8 hours a day. If no, or for you, it was 90 hours a week. That's crazy. My gosh, right?
Yeah.
That's where we can affect the most change. A part of our purpose is to help and serve other people. We've all experienced this,
Yes.
that you can be depressed, but the moment you start solving someone else's problem, your problems seem to disappear, right? God wired us that way. We're blessed to be a blessing, it says in his word. So the warrior movement really is this mantra. It's a philosophy. It is a feeling of knowing that we need to make sure that we better ourselves, body, mind, spirit, so we can deploy ourselves into business and do things in a different way to impact our communities, our families, and societies, and just live at a higher call. That's basically what the warrior movement's about.
Yeah. Wow, that's so beautiful. And you're right, because I do know that when we're at the lowest end, we hear it all the time. Go out and serve. My mentor tells me that all the time. Bob Proctor used to say that all the time. If you're not hitting your sales, just go out and serve.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how we're so interconnected, and we don't know that we're interconnected until you actually go out and serve. Until you actually see how you can make a difference in someone's life just by a smile, just by saying good morning to someone, just by showing up and doing a quick live on something that changed your life. You can change somebody else's life.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the fact that you said that we are hardwired for this.
Yes.
Because it is true. Once you stay connected to your true purpose, right? Like, why are you here? And you truly know the truth.
Yeah.
There is no way that life cannot change for you.
Absolutely.
Life will change 360 degrees.
Absolutely.
If I may say.
Yes.
You know, and it's all about getting help. You know, I do know that, you know, I learned there's 4 pillars in life that if we can practice these 4 things, we will truly have a better life, and doors do open up. The first thing is to always love yourself unconditionally. The second thing is forgive everything. Forgive everyone, forgive everything that comes along that tries to hurt you, because they don't know the truth.
Yeah.
Right? The third thing is be intentional. Be intentional what you do. Go help someone intentionally. Love yourself intentionally. And the fourth thing is do everything continuously. Because if you do those things, you just open up the doors to feel better for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you make others feel like you can't give if you don't have.
Yeah.
And that's why everything starts with this journey of our self-discovery. You know, why are we here, and figuring out the truth.
Yeah.
Because we always look for others to make us happy. We look for others to give us what we need. And it's not in anyone else, but in your own self.
Yeah.
And when we discover that we have all that we need within ourselves, then we can show up as the best version of ourselves. Right? We can't give, like I said, we can't give what we don't have.
Yeah.
But we expect it from our bosses, our relationship, our husbands, our children. We expect all these things from someone else.
Yeah.
And I had to really, even for myself, understand I must nurture myself first. You know, I went through this process, which I call the rainbow method, right? And to really discover my truth and to set me free. And R is for every letter of the rainbow, stands for something. R stands for reconnect to my true authentic self. A, becoming aware, having the level of awareness to help me grow, continue to learn. I, using my imagination, because everything starts in the imagination before it comes into reality. N is for nurturing the imagination, nurturing myself. B is for beliefs, having the beliefs that will empower me instead of disempower me, because we can do anything we want if we put our mind to it, right? It's just we have to believe first. Always having being optimistic, having an attitude of gratitude, looking at life, what's good with it versus what's bad with it,
Yeah.
right? And giving grace to everything that comes into our life, because there is something there for us.
Yes.
And it's for wins, celebrating the wins, the big wins, the small wins, celebrating us for having this life. Because if we don't celebrate us, who is?
Exactly.
We can't expect anyone outside of us to celebrate us.
Yeah.
We must celebrate it first for the gift that we have.
So good.
All of that is what you and I have learned to understand. The truth is the way and the light. It's the only way to live. Otherwise, we're just not in harmony with life.
Yeah.
We're just, feeling the pain and the struggles. And for me, I know it is the biggest eye opener.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest wake up call. Because when we do find out the truth, we're no longer tied down.
Exactly.
And it all comes from helping each other. Like all of this that you're doing with your movement and I'm doing, it's about helping people see that they have so much stored within them.
Yeah.
They have gifts that they bring to this world, but they're just afraid. And you're there for them. I'm there for them. All they need to do is ask for help.
That's huge. Ask and you shall
Let's
receive.
talk about that. Yeah, because I think that's what stops everyone is
Yeah.
just being not vulnerable, but opening up to say, okay, I want to change. I do need help. Where do I start?
Yeah.
But we can't make anybody do anything.
Yeah.
They have to be willing to change.
Exactly. It starts with those questions you brought up, right? Today, we're asking ourselves, what is truth? Is there such a thing? But it's promises. It's biblical. Ask and you shall receive, right? Seek and you shall find. Knock at the door shall be open. Because God wants to connect with you. God wants to prosper you. There's a lot of promises that are there, but he's not just going to give it to you. It's just like if you're a parent, you want to give your children the world, but you already know that you want to teach them to become an amazing person. You want to teach them to become an incredible citizen, an incredible person in this world. So they have to learn to ask and they have to learn to seek, right? You're not just going to give them all the answers. If all of us could just sit there all day and we just expect that what we want just like plops into our lap without doing anything, we're just going to be a whole bunch of spoiled brats. So seriously, questions are so key. And I think we stop ourselves. So the question is, why do we stop ourselves from asking? I think so many times, and this is where the devil comes in and he has these little lies again. It's, we believe things like, who's going to care? Like, I'm way too far off from the path to get back on right now. It's way too late. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too this. I'm too that.
Yeah.
Look, everywhere in the world, you have so many stories of people, young, old, broken, whatever, that were able to change things around and spark change just by asking one question. So I encourage every single person to listen today. If you're still listening to this right now, you're locked in and you're in a place that you're able and willing to make a change right now. Change doesn't have to take years and decades. Change starts. Jim Rohn says this. He says that destination might not change overnight, but direction can. Today, you can spark change by asking a different question. Yes. Instead of saying, why are things happening to me? Think, how is this working for me? And these little shifts, and the answers will start to come.
I love that. I love that because it's through that where you start gaining awareness of, wait a minute, so I made the decision because it all starts with the decision.
Yeah.
Like whatever's in your life right now, I say it's all from decisions that we've made, because we
Mhm.
have choice. This is one thing that God gave us, right?
Yeah.
We're presented with all these choices, and
Yeah.
whatever choice you make creates your results in your life.
Yeah.
And most people will say, well, did I ask for the illness? Did I ask
Mm.
for the divorce? Did I ask for that ugly job? The short answer is yes.
Mm.
And
Mm.
when you can look at that from, okay, what lesson did I have to learn from that, and
Mm.
move on. Don't
Mhm.
let it be the stopper.
Yeah.
Don't let it dictate your future,
Yeah.
right? Because the past never dictates the future. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people work from either the past
Mhm.
or the future, and they're never actually living in the moment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, this information is so good to share with everyone, because I believe that the more they seek, they shall find.
Yes.
And the more they find out, the more they realize they can be true to themselves first. Because
Mm.
when you figure out the truth, you are being truth to yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it just opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff to me is um, the secret to life,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
secret to life, where you truly work from faith rather
Yeah.
than fear
Yes.
in anything you want to do, anything.
Yeah.
And not just settle and say, well, this is in my genes,
Mm.
or, this is, how could a million people think this way? Why would
Yeah.
it be different now? I mean, that's the big one here. I've had a lot of people say, but this is not the way. Well, you know what? Maybe there is a better way, because
Yeah.
we found the better way.
Yes.
And our mission is to share the better way.
Yeah.
And it all starts with us if we're seeking, not settling,
Mm.
if we're helping each other out versus not helping each other out.
Mhm.
And the strongest emotion we can have is love.
Mm.
That will
Yeah.
change everything.
Yes.
So I have a friend who says, I asked, what would love do? She was just on a show the other day, Mandy. She goes, what would love do? Is the biggest question.
Mm.
When you're struggling, what would love do?
Mm.
Because when you're working from that state of mind, when your heart is open,
Mm.
you will receive your answers that you need.
True.
So tell us what you do now. I know you're
Mhm.
you're in the marketing, network
Mhm.
marketing business, and I saw you take those drops. So tell us what that was about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for the last 13 years, we've been selling these body balancing, quote unquote, skitty drops. So they support the thyroid hormones, body balance,
Mm-hmm.
speed of metabolism. People lose weight 50% faster than diet and exercise by
Okay.
itself. So this is just like a tool, right? That's super helpful because
Mm-hmm.
no matter how amazing your mindset is, if your body's sick, it still sucks, right? We have to take
Yeah.
care of this temple that we've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but primarily, what I do is I show people how to leverage that on social media with automations built in. And we're helping people build a business and scale to six figures in 6 months. And we figured out some principles and systems to be able to do that. So that's like tactically what I do. But really, what I do is what you're doing, which is I want to expose people to the truth of who they are and how they can tap into that potential. Because if this guy that was a 19-year broke college kid that was super negative and just down on life could figure things out to a certain degree, and we're all on the journey, right? Then
Yes.
I truly believe that each and every single one of us can as well too on whatever God has called you to. I know. And I guess
Yeah.
if we can lead, I kind of feel pulled to lead the listeners on a couple questions. Do you mind if I
No,
lead them on
please,
that?
please.
We're all different. We talked about a lot of different things today. And I know there's a big spectrum of who the listeners. Some people are like, every single thing that we're talking about today, I'm on it. I love this,
Yes.
right? There's the other person that's like, it's like what the blind man said to Jesus. He said, I believe, but help me with my unbelief. Like I want to believe, but I'm just not there yet, right?
Yeah.
On what truth is. And my encouragement is there's kind of two questions. The first is this, is ask God, who are you? Like, we're all from different backgrounds. So I understand some people might not have a relationship with him. But if you're like, man, what Giovanna has, what James has, that sounds so good. Like, but I don't know what that looks like, right? Maybe you don't have a relationship with God right now. It's hard to find truth if you don't have a relationship with the truth. So ask him, who are you? The simple question. He'll answer, right? If you seek. And then the second is, if you do have the relationship, just simply ask, God, what do you want to show me next? Like, what are you trying to teach me right now? You ask those two questions in life, you see more of who he is, and you ask him for the next step, you're going to see how your life just starts to go into the most blessed of places.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful. You know, it's all about getting quiet and listening to that voice.
Yeah.
Putting your hands on your heart, get quiet. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
So I love that, James. Thank you so much. And for all the viewers, James, how can people get in touch with you if they love to get in touch with you?
You can find all my socials are the same tag. So at James C. Zheng, Zheng. Connect, follow, message me. Like, let me know how I can pray for you, whatever that it is.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us, James. Wishing you all the best. And your mission is one that I know will live on forever and ever and ever. So thank you for sharing your life with us.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining Spark and Change with Gigi. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.